Hey, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to Hell's Kitchen 7 Chefs Compete. Tune in because we're going to find out a soldier is down. There it is.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Fire.
Look at that.
Hey. Maria can dance. Can you dance, Maria?
I try.
I think you do a good job. I can see you cutting a rug at like a wedding reception.
I have been known to do the Dougie at the wedding reception. It's legitimately on video and it's on Facebook.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Welcome, everybody. This is the one and only Hell's Kitchen After Show. As always, we are here every Monday night throwing down the juice about the episode. That's how we do. We throw down juice.
Yes, we
That's
do.
like the new thing. We throw down juice and we eat cookies. And that's how we get down.
Balance.
I'm your host, Lem Gonsalves. You can find me always at the Poet Saint. There's another microphone next to me because somebody should be joining us really soon, but she's not here right now. But of course, I got my other partners in the house.
Yes.
Miss Maria Provenzano. What's up, girl?
Hi, hello. Yes, Rhavin will be back. B does stay busy, so B is in
Exactly.
She's in another show, but she will be
Always.
here. I am Maria Provenzano. You can find me at Maria Provenzano on Twitter, and all my information will be there.
Yes. And of course, my main man, Happy Go Jackie himself, Mr. Frank Moran.
The voice.
Yes, you can follow me on Twitter at HappyGoJackie right there. And Maria's Cookies, it was like one of those cartoons where when food would send up like little scent fingers that would grab people by the nose and just draw them in.
Yeah.
As soon as she brought those cookies and people were just coming from everywhere. That's all that's left. That's all that's left.
It was a full box. I had tons of these cookies. We have 3.
Yeah. And I thought
promise
you
I
brought
tried.
3. I'm looking you're like, oh, I brought cookies. I'm like, to who? There was literally 4 cookies and then I had one and then there's 3 left.
Yeah.
I was really disappointed.
Yeah, you showed up and I was like, I'm really sorry about that.
I'm just going to make sure that I'm here early next time when you come in.
Okay.
I'm going to escort you. That's what I'm going to do. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, as promised, we do have a guest here. They're not physically here, but they're here with us in spirit, a.k.a. Skype.
Woo!
Mr. Jared Bobkin. What's up, Jared?
How's it going?
Oh, man, it's going great, man. How are you, sir?
I'm pretty tired. It's late here.
Yeah, I was going to say, so you're calling us from Michigan. What time is it right now?
12:17.
Woo! Man, it is late, man. I'm just, can we just have a hand for Jared staying up past midnight to be a part of our show?
Yes,
we do
thank
appreciate
you,
it.
Jared.
Very appreciate it. We wish you could give you some of these cookies, the only 3 that are left, to keep you awake because I'm super hype because I had one and it's full of crack and sugar.
Yes, I like to
That's
sprinkle
what they're-
crack on the cookies.
Right, exactly. So, Jared, I love your character on this particular show, and I'm so glad to have you because you really bring life to the show. Your feedback is great. Kind of your manners, everything that you do on this show is really amazing. And even at the start of the show, you have some consoling abilities that I really appreciated from Miss Ashley. I just need to know, I know that there was some other in previous episode, there was some things going on. What was it about Ashley that drew you to her? Was she just a nice girl? Did you just really like her as a chef? What was going on?
We just bonded. Everybody else was kind of they walking around with a stick up their ass, and we were just hanging out, being normal people.
Right.
So what? We're on a TV show. It's just hanging out.
Right. Absolutely, absolutely, and I think that's good for something like this where you're in high pressure, environments and things going on. It's a competition, so there's a lot of nerves, there's a lot of anxiety, there's a lot of stress, and I think it's good to have somebody that you can lean on. Yes.
Yeah, it was. I was fortunate enough to actually go on the show with Hassan, who's also from Detroit.
Oh, okay.
We've known each other for about 5 years.
That's right.
Really?
Okay.
Yeah.
So you guys knew each other ahead of time. How did you guys know each other?
We opened up 2 different restaurants together.
Really?
Ah.
Where in Michigan? Both in Michigan.
Yeah, both in Michigan. I've never left the state.
Well, it's a beautiful state.
Right.
I'm a Michigander, and I did leave the state, but just to work in the entertainment industry. If they had an entertainment industry in Michigan, I would be there.
What was the slogan you gave earlier that Jared did not care for?
Okay, I told him I'm from a town called Saginaw.
Right.
And what did you say, Jared?
I said, oh, you mean Sag Nasty?
And I said, you mean Sagan Awesome. Let's
I
just
think that's so hilarious.
leave it there. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I think it's hilarious. It's hilarious.
No, but I was rooting for you and Hassan just from the beginning because you're Michigan boys. Had to root for my Michigan boys.
You got to root for hometown, right?
Yeah, of course.
Absolutely. So, Jared, in your stay in the show, and of course, congratulations for still being in the competition and getting this far. I'm definitely excited to see how you continue in the competition. Up until this point, I feel like you've been, somewhat of a leader, and you've been doing a lot as far as, staying your course and kind of being consistent on your team. I know that the blue team, specifically the team that you have been on, had a lot of challenges. You guys had a lot of switching of members, and it seemed like even with this particular episode where you guys basically lose the challenge and have to deal with some really nasty durian fruit, which looked disgusting. Can you just I want to talk to you about that durian situation, because I've seen this fruit and I've heard about this fruit and they've had it on past Hell's Kitchen seasons, but explain the situation with this fruit. What is so crazy about this fruit?
So this fruit is like jagged on the outside, and you break it open, and they have these pods of custard inside. And
custard,
but when you break it open, it just smells like a high school boy's locker room.
Ew.
What?
Dirty gym socks.
Is the custard sort of like the center of passion fruit?
No. It's more like pods.
Okay.
And they're like gelatinous.
Like pomegranate? I'm trying to compare it to something.
Outside of pomegranate before you get to the seed part.
Yeah, okay.
So it's kind of like that.
But it smells awful. I mean, it literally, like I said on the show, in parts of Singapore.
Yes. Oh my God, it was so funny.
They outlaw it in certain cities because it smells so bad.
So that's a true statement, what you said before.
That was hilarious. It's illegal. It's literally illegal to open up this fruit. Because it smells so bad.
In Vancouver, I had a chance to go visit there, and there's an ice cream shop there that makes all sorts of exotic flavors. And one of it was durian ice cream. And so I tried it, and it is the worst. It just coats your tongue, and it just stays there. And for hours, that's all you can taste is that just terrible smell of durian.
So what, Jared, what were you guys actually making with the fruit? Because I know it was for some type of dessert that you were on the menu.
We made a durian panna cotta.
A durian panna cotta.
Yeah, it was served in a martini glass.
Okay. Because I didn't remember seeing much of that.
That is such a, at least from the ice cream, not a good tasting dish. So how is it as a panna cotta? Was it actually delicious?
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. Once you get past the smell and all that other shit, it tastes amazing. It's an amazing fruit.
So it's like the fruit version of chitlins, like you get past the smell, and then it's
that's
like good.
Exactly it.
Oh, okay. I do know chitlins. Families from the South. Yes, absolutely.
Jared, one thing I want to ask is that were you a fan of the show before you came in?
It's funny because they ask you if you're a fan of the show, and you're of course gonna go, yeah, of course I am, sure. I've probably seen a total of 12 minutes of episodes.
Really?
15 seasons.
Oh wow!
Because I know
I didn't start watching until I already had filmed.
Okay. Because I was one of the big challenges they do every season is the blind taste test, and I feel like that's always a staple of the show, and so I always feel like
that was a surprise to me.
Oh, it was? Okay, I always wonder about that blind taste test because I'd like to think that I would do well at that.
I would like to think I would do well too, but
it's really hard because you're tasting you got hardcore metal blasting in your ear. You can't see anything.
Right.
And then he taps you on the shoulder and you open your mouth and you get a spoonful of ice cream. And it wasn't plain ice cream that was flavored with whatever we were tasting. It was vanilla ice cream with that flavor.
Oh.
Well, and as you know, with any kind of ice cream or any sorbet, anything like that, the flavors are muted when they're so cold, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, it was really cold. It was really hard to tell what we were tasting, and you're under pressure. And for me, having the metal blasting in my ears was just driving me insane.
Right.
Is it one of those before you had your turn, not really having much sympathy and getting frustrated with your teammates because they're missing it, but having a better understanding of what they're going through once you were in that position?
A little bit. I mean, it's frustrating to watch because you just know you're losing. The other team's
I will say, it was one of my favorite challenges, though. I loved watching it. Oh my God, it was so entertaining, though. I have to tell you.
Well, it's interesting because this was, and they stayed, and I've been a fan of this show since season 1, and they always do like you said, Frank, they always do the taste tests, and it is something that is coming up towards this kind of time in the competition when it's getting down to the 7 or 6 that are left. And I thought it was interesting that they did it with ice cream, and I was under the impression that it was going to be whatever it was on frozen yogurt or something like that doesn't have a lot of flavor to it.
Yeah.
But you're saying
it's still really hard to detect. And on top of it, I'll be honest with you, my palate isn't great at all. Conceptually, I'm a great chef and I can make great food. But I'm not gonna take a spoonful of something and be like, oh, there's a teaspoon of thyme in there, and I get a that's just
something you're not gonna be able to do.
When I eat in less than 5 minutes over a trash can. I'm not really worried about detecting flavors.
That's kind of what I do. I mean, mine is the trash can, but definitely I'm on the 5-minute eating plan.
Yeah.
I blinked and you ate an entire cookie.
Yeah, I did.
What I love most about that challenge, though, was just how much Chef Ramsay was laughing
that's
as you
true.
and they were getting blasted with those cannons. Man, he just seemed like he was having the best time.
I don't think I've ever seen him that happy in any episode. He was just cracking up.
Yeah.
I mean, you were getting shot with a cannon full of dessert.
What was in the cannon? What were those colors? What was that?
I got shot with raspberry.
Like a syrup?
Yeah, it was it was like a syrup you pump out onto your sundaes.
Right.
And then after, if you get all 4 wrong, you got shot with whipped cream.
Yes.
And you could feel the force from that cannon hit you.
Really? It didn't look like it was enjoyable at all.
When Amanda got shot, it was
you're wearing a chef coat and it's trickling down your neck and your pants are covered, and then it's you're outside for a few minutes, so it starts to harden in the sun.
That's nasty. So Jared,
That's
sag
nasty.
Hey,
there's the shot. Shots fired.
Yes.
Shots fired.
My only comeback is sagging awesome. I gotta think of something else.
You gotta think of something. Take your time to think of something else.
Okay, I'm gonna take my time.
So Jared, I want to kind of take you back through the season a little bit, and of course, like I said, you're still standing. So congratulations on that. I want to take you back to some of your more memorable moments in the season. What would you say? Because your team, like I said before, you kind of went through challenges with the blue team, and there was times where you guys were doing well, and there were times that you weren't. What would you say was your most proud moment being on the blue team and individually as a chef there in the competition?
Individually, my proudest moment was probably the breakfast challenge.
Okay.
Because it's in Detroit, we have, a very big Latin community.
Okay.
We have an area of Detroit we call Southwest Detroit. It's Mexican town.
Oh, okay.
That's what it's known as.
Okay.
So I did a vegetarian dish that you can find on tons of menus all over, whether it be high-end restaurants or, mom and pop shops. And I just did it, and chef was 10 seconds to go to plate, and I'm still trying to mess with my eggs that are not, they're fucked up. Bottom line, they're fucked up. So I plate my food 10 seconds, and the judge is it looks really loose, and we talk about type food, and these are people that I know, that I look at their menus, I see what they're doing.
And Jared, not to interrupt you, that was Chef Lefebvre, right? That was judging. Yeah.
And all 3 of them gave me a perfect score. So it just goes to show that it doesn't have to be perfectly plated as long as the flavors go well together.
As long as it tastes good. And I feel like that's the mantra of overall of Hell's Kitchen, and kind of what Gordon preaches, because there's going to be a lot of times where, it's high pressure environment. You got time, or whatever, but the bottom line is you got to get it on the plate, number one.
It has to taste good.
And it has to taste good. So if it doesn't look the greatest, and we've seen that there was one challenge where I think it was Jackie, where they picked her plate over.
Oh yeah, because it looked pretty.
Over Ariel.
Yeah, because it looked great, but it
didn't taste good, and so it didn't score well.
Ariel was I told you.
I have to say that actually that was another good moment for me. I went up against Jackie,
right?
1 week, and then the very next week I go up against her again, and I just totally wiped the floor with her both times.
I think everybody wanted to beat Jackie.
The breakfast challenge. She said, "What did you have for breakfast?" I had 2 cigarettes. And just kind of
That was great. That was great.
Was she one of the most difficult people to be around, do you think, in the competition?
Yeah, because people think that she was doing it for TV and whatever. Jackie was like that 100% of the day.
Wow.
From morning to night. Like, the only time she was literally quiet was when she was sleeping or
when she was sleeping.
So was there anyone else that was maybe putting on a show for TV, or was everybody kind of the same?
No, you know, like we had people in the house that would, like, because they knew their family members were going to be watching, or like wouldn't say stuff, or like act appropriate. It's like, look, I'm gonna be me on TV. My family's gonna accept me for who I am. My friends are gonna accept me for who I am. So I'm just gonna be me, because it's, to be honest, like, it's a high pressure situation. I really don't have the patience to put up a front. I'm kind of lazy when it comes to that, you know. Like, I'm here to cook, and I'm here to try to win, and I don't like. So I swear a lot. Big deal, you know.
They say people who swear a lot are.
They have something
it's like more.
Better vocabulary.
Yeah, or like are more trustworthy, or something. Like there's actually some really like.
Alexis is over there. Yeah.
I don't know,
man. I can't help it. I've got a sailor mouth.
Yeah, my mom actually thought my first word was gonna be fuck.
Oh well, I have a 2.5-year-old, and he just said "damn it" the other day. I was like, "Ooh, this is not good."
Oh, it's not good. It's not good. It's not good.
Jared, one thing with the blue team, you guys, the red team had a little bit in terms of mixing up the teams, but certainly with Mad and Danny added to you guys. How did that change the dynamic from just having an all-male team to having two members of the red team come over? Was it just were you able just to kind of go business as usual, or was it an adjustment period, or was it better than when it was just all strictly the original blue team?
No, it was better as strictly the original blue team, because it was like, you know, we can, as guys, we can like get mad, fight it out, and we're done. Like, you know, we're not harboring any bad feelings. When Amanda came on, it felt like she was like, well, you said this the other day and blah, blah, blah. Like, that was like 2 days ago. Like,
2 days ago. Said leave it alone. It was 2 days ago.
She seemed pretty dramatic, though. I feel like she held on to a lot of stuff.
She was really dramatic, but also she was like, at the same time, she was like super confident in dinner service. But when it came to challenges, she was like, hey, taste this. Hey, taste this. Hey, taste this. It's like, this is where I'm supposed to shine. I'm not trying to help you.
Right. Exactly. Jared, I want to talk about, like, you know, you talk about Michigan and, you know, coming on this show and the things that led up to that. What was your background, you know, before coming on the show, and then versus what you're doing now? Are you doing the same thing? Has it changed your perspective being on the show?
Well, so Detroit's like on the up and up for restaurants, right?
Okay.
And I was cooking before. I was a sous chef before at a few different places. And when I came back, I was still a sous chef. I kept the same job I had at the time. Okay. And then, like, you know, 6-8 months after, I left there, and I became the executive chef of a restaurant called Local Kitchen and Bar in Ferndale. But I've always, like, at the last gig I was working with a chef that was, you know, trained in Chicago, working in Vegas. So I was trying to do that more elevated food that, like, you see in magazines, and you do that. It's the same kind of food. I'm just, like, learning how to plate better or work with ingredients that aren't as common in Michigan, that, you know, that out in LA, they're like, yeah, I see that in 5 menus every day.
Right.
Here, it's like, I've never even heard of that. You know, so I try to just push the boundaries a little bit every day. You know, we're doing a menu update right now. Okay. And I'm putting, like, goat on the menu.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Yeah, and I'm still trying to incorporate seafood, because that's a big part of what I do. But I think it really, like, going on the show just really, like, precision focus what I want to do.
That's what I want to do.
So you mentioned seafood. What is your favorite type of cooking to do? Because you even mentioned in the breakfast challenge, like, Mexican food. So what is it that you love to cook?
I honestly, like, I hate cooking Mexican food. I hate cooking breakfast, because that's like I said, that's what you can find everywhere around here, right? I like seafood. I like to, you know, any preparation of seafood, like whether it be molecular gastronomy or simple saute, or, you know, I'm working on doing, you know, an octopus salami.
Oh wow,
that's interesting.
Yeah, so it's like anything I can try and think of that's a little bit different, that's, you know, not too far out there where, you know, my girlfriend and my parents won't eat it.
Yeah.
But it's going to be like, oh, that's creative.
That's creative.
What about trout? There's lots of trout in Michigan, freshwater fish.
Yeah, I know. Trout, walleye, perch.
Walleye, yeah, perch.
all of that.
You're over it?
Jared, there was one moment in this episode, I know, in terms of cooking it on the meat, the New York strips. It wasn't your night that night in the show.
So,
but when you tell...
Like I'm a seafood guy, right? Like seafood's my thing. So I worked at a fish house for 3 years, and we had steaks, but it was filet and it was a char grill. I've never cooked a steak before that episode.
Man,
ever.
I have to admit, because when you tell Chef Ramsay, it's like, I don't have much experience cooking New York strips. Was that was it difficult to just express that to him because you don't want to show any sort of deficiency?
Yeah, because the second you say that, Frank looks up, Danny looks over, Amanda looks up, is like, what do you mean you don't have steak experience? It's like, I cook fish. It's what I do.
Right.
So, so I say it, and it's like, and then I'm cooking it in this pan, and I'm just like freaking out because it's like, I can't, I'm thinking too much about it. I'm thinking about the science about how the heat is hitting the pan and where the hot spots are, and, and I'm just like overthinking it, which is something I do all the time.
Right.
But, after that, I have never not cooked a steak in a pan.
Really?
Right.
Yeah.
It's funny how it changes
I don't
kind
have
of.
a grill in my apartment, so
Right.
I have to do it in a pan if I want.
Right.
My favorite moment, though, is when you bring the steaks up there and say you didn't gash them, and then he says breaking news, shakes your hand, and announces it to everybody.
That was great. That was a great moment.
My friends love that too. I've thought it for a couple of days now.
So before we let you go, Jared, I want to just kind of bring you to that moment at the end of this particular episode when you're up for elimination and you're up against Frank, and kind of that moment. And I can imagine that being, because of course you're voted in by your teammates, and you're sitting there, and of course you have to plead your case with Chef Ramsay, and a lot of stuff that's going on. You have the threat of going home. What were you feeling at that moment in this particular episode that we saw sitting next to Frank?
It's weird because I was up for elimination 2 other times.
Right.
And those 2 times I was really, really nervous about going home.
Mm-hmm.
And this time I just I didn't feel that same kind of nerves. I was standing there and I'm like I should be nervous, but I'm not, and I don't understand why. It's like I wasn't sure if it was either that's it, you're done, point blank, you're going home.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or it's like I just knew that I knew that I fucked up less than Frank.
It felt like Frank kind of gave up this episode, especially at the end. But
It did because Frank was really, really hurt. He took it personally that we put him up the week before.
Right.
And it was and that's when the dynamics started changing the blue team. It was nobody was everybody was on edge with each other, and it was just it was never the same after that.
Right. Well, Jared,
You saw Frank at the racetrack.
Yeah, exactly. He was
pouting like a 6-year-old.
It was just funny. It was just funny, basically seeing that with him because we've discussed this many times. Being that he's a military person, and he takes pride in that. But then he seems like he's the biggest baby, when it comes to that, and taking everything personally. And like you said at the track, how he was pouting, and he was never the same after that.
Right.
So it was just interesting, kind of that dynamic, and see that. Would you say that is clearly what we saw as what actually was happening?
I mean, yeah, he was pouting, he was. But you know what? He's a hell of a cook.
Yeah.
He's amazing at what he does. I mean, he cooks for the commandant of the Marines or I don't know.
Yeah, but there's some presidents and vice presidents. He was going on a tangent for a while.
And he obviously knows what he's doing, and he's
right.
And on the show, he nailed it every day. But like every other season, it only takes one bad night to go home.
Exactly, and that's what it is. Well, Jared, we want to thank you for joining us. I know it's late. We appreciate you giving your perspective.
I gotta be to work in 6 hours.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, no, we really appreciate it. Before we let you go, let the people know, the fans that want to get hold of you, how they can reach you on social media.
Yeah, it's it's at Bobkin Jared on Twitter.
Yes.
Jared Bobkin on Instagram and Jared Bobkin on Facebook.
There it is.
So if I hit you up, then the next time I come to Michigan, I can come to your restaurant and eat.
Yeah.
I would expect you to.
Okay, I'm going to be there in July.
Yes.
I will be there in July.
She's like, I was already
and I'm
there.
coming to. And so if you would have said no, I would have cried. So.
All right, Jared, man, we appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a good night. Yeah. Jared is gone, but someone else is with us. Rhavin is in the house. Yay!
What's
What's up?
here.
Have a cookie.
He stays busy.
Get one of those, yes.
Yeah. Oh, you'll be. Yeah, I'm gonna take that last
just
one.
had to have one 'cause
But
I was
you
having
are
a coughing
like
attack.
this one. You know, we talked
Thanks
about
for
crack
sharing
cookies
your
before.
one.
Yes. Oh, no,
like
this
this
is
is
real
like this is like real
creme de
crack.
la creme
Like this is
of
real crack. And
Robin, you don't even
sugar.
understand. I literally died, came back to life, and then had another cookie and then died again.
Oh.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah,
See
it's
what
going
I'm saying?
down. It's going down.
If you guys want this recipe, it is on my website, fromscratchwithmaria.com. These are oatmeal cream pies.
And I stalked her website, and
Yeah.
she's always cooking up something amazing.
I made some biscuits today. I have
Biscuits?
perfected the biscuit.
Oh,
I
man.
saw that.
That
And
is
this
amazing.
is perfect for this episode where we have our first dessert.
Yes.
Yeah,
we were
well,
talking
there you
about
go,
that. Right. The
right.
durian. What was durian?
Some stank
It was
fruit.
a panna cotta. I
Panna
think you
cotta.
said?
That's what
Yeah,
it is.
durian
Durian
panna
panna cotta. That's right.
I'm not
That's
a
right.
I'm a dessert lover, but I'm not a panna cotta fan or a pot
I
de
didn't
creme.
even
Anything that's
know.
gelatinous.
I didn't even know that was what made the what is it called the dessert that it made.
Panna cotta?
green-
Mochis.
Mochi.
Oh,
I didn't even
that's
know
right. They used
that
it for
was
mochi, or they used mochi. Yeah,
Right.
I didn't know that either.
Oh, that Frank lit up, remember? Because it was just like, oh, mochi, oh.
But
and then he
mochi's
started talking,
good.
like, mochi is good.
Yeah.
I'm not mad at
So
mochi,
good.
but I'm mad at that durian smelling like, what did he say? Like
I'm
junior
mad at
high.
that cream
Yeah, like
about
a
to
high
spill.
I got it. Wait,
Like a high school boys' locker room.
That's what he said it smelled like.
That's right.
Yeah.
I can
weird.
imagine. And that's a fruit, not a vegetable.
It is so
Yeah.
gross.
Not a
tasting.
meat.
It is.
Yeah, because vegetables, like a broccoli or something, can smell like
Wait,
feet.
was it Jared that said, someone found
It's
this
illegal.
fruit and smelled it and said, let's
Oh.
make a dessert with it or something?
I think they were all saying it.
Like,
They were all
how
talking
did
about
that
it,
even get
Yeah,
discovered
someone
before
decided to eat
dessert?
it. And
Oh, I
then-
think it was
yeah.
Manda.
Well,
Manda
they were all
said
kind
it.
of like joking back and forth when they were opening them. It was pretty funny.
It's hilarious. All right,
I
so
miss you guys.
yeah, I missed you
We
too.
missed you and your pretty face.
Yes. So
very pretty.
we talked up with Frank. I got food in my mouth.
I will read your notes. Which one?
We talked to
I can
Jared.
read them from here. Not really. I'll help. Oh, man.
All right, I just want to get into. We talked about. We covered the taste test and how that worked and how that was crazy. And
That was
basically
hilarious.
the blue team got creamed, pun intended, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And so red team Wednesday took on the shopping spree.
Which was like the best price
Right.
ever.
Cookware from Roland,
Yes.
which seemed like the
My
chef's dream.
My dream.
Anybody that cooks. I mean, I would love it in there, and I don't even cook, but
Yeah, I would
just to
just get
look like I
everything.
cook. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, look what I got.
Like, this sounds fun. I'm inspired to cook.
Exactly.
How much can
Yeah.
you get for $2,000 though?
Yeah.
Can you get a lot?
Well, see, I thought about that too, but I think because they might be getting it is because of restaurant supply, they might be getting it at a
Oh,
lower
yeah,
cost.
or a wholesale deal.
But I mean, I think you can get. She was talking about like in a cutlery for around $200 or $300, which is cheap
Mm-hmm.
for like the cutlery.
And I think it was Kristen was kind of giving her a list of things that
She
she was
did.
picking up, and she
Yeah.
seemed like she was getting a lot
Yeah,
for
she
her
got a
money.
lot.
She only went.
stuff.
She had a lot up there, and she went 100 over, and that's not really that bad.
So I
for
think they
what
had a
she
little bit of
seemed to
discount
have.
too.
Exactly. So I want to get into service because that's went kind of crazy as it always does.
Yes.
Red team actually went off to a good start, which was good. Danny seemed to be not communicating properly, and that was with Frank. And Frank is always seems like the person that, like, you're not talking to me right, or I'm giving you something. And it seems like in this episode, especially, and I think it's more pronounced because it's less people,
Right.
Yes.
so it's more attention. And he kept saying, like, he wanted to blame everybody. It was like his thing was, and I think someone, I can't remember who it was, but they pointed it out. They say, if you finish for him, then he puts it on you.
Jared, Jared said, "There he goes,
There it is.
passing it on like he always
He
does."
puts it on him, and I think it's messed up that he does that because it's almost like and I feel like he wants you to kind of like, hey, check that out for me. Can you watch this for me?
Yes, yeah.
That way, if something goes wrong, then he can be like, oh, it wasn't me. I gave it to
Yeah.
you. If I gave it to you, then that's it.
Yeah.
And I think that's been kind of his thing he was doing, but it was a lot more pronounced in this particular episode.
And for sure, when Ramsay kind of said, like, are you done? And it was
Right.
just quiet. And he's
Yeah.
just kind of crunched and looking at Frank. And it was just silent for the longest
Yeah.
time. And Frank didn't say a thing.
No, not at all. Not
And
at all.
my thing is, I get it. It was what kind of fish was it? Was it the
snapper?
The red
Was it snapper?
The snapper?
Okay.
The
Yes,
first
snapper.
time you asked someone to take a look at it, and it went up wrong.
Right.
Why don't you look at it yourself?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Because then he did it again, and then he was
Right,
mad, like,
right.
Don't send it up until I look
Right,
at it. But
exactly.
you
He did
had
it 3
all ample
times.
timing to say, let me check
Yeah.
it before.
Mm-hmm.
He had ample timing to do that, and he didn't. So
Right.
I was a little disappointed. I'm like, okay, Frank, like,
Yeah.
get it together, dude.
Like, you mess up once, shame on you. Mess
Right.
up twice, shame on me. Mess up 3 times, homie, you better like get it together.
It made no sense, but again, it was in true Frank fashion that he was just like, oh, okay, well, you looked at it for 2 seconds, so it's on you. Like literally, if you come by his food, it's your fault.
That's super childish.
It's very much of a scapegoat, which goes back to what I've said always about this whole military thing. Is it's a team effort, and the fact, and someone else called it, I think it was Manda, called out. It's like if you're, in the military, it's all about team. So why are you all about yourself?
Yeah.
Because that's what I feel like he's been that way since day one.
Right. You were trying to pull his card last week.
Exactly.
So.
Can we have that moment where he's talking to Chef Aaron while they're doing prep and just brag?
yeah.
Get them talking
gosh,
and talking. Oh, yeah, I cook for the commandant.
Right.
I was feeling so awkward in those
It was
moments, and I was waiting for someone to say something, and the fact that he was like, will you stop already?
I rewound that because I was like, I thought it came from like one of the other team members, and I was like, no, he said
He
that.
literally was like, dude,
he was like, stop
just
it.
Done.
Just stop.
And then Frank just kind of was like,
his face was like, oh,
Yes.
I thought you were enjoying my conversation.
yeah, it was like,
he was proud.
Leave me alone,
that was
small man.
hilarious. No, that was hilarious.
it was weird.
Yeah, it was.
His tone was different too. We were like, who is this?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think it was like I think it was Jared that said that, where it was almost like he knows that he's exposed, like he's not the best. So now I need to suck up to Chef Aaron so that way he can report back to Chef Ramsay like, oh no, he's cool. He asked a lot of questions and stuff like. And I definitely think it was a tactic that he was doing.
Yeah.
When he started with the mochi, like, oh, mochi, I know about mochi, and then he started going like, and I've cooked for the president, and I've cooked for this person, and I've done this, and then I cooked
Little
for
does he know the proof is in the pudding.
Everybody.
It doesn't
like,
matter.
Exactly.
Like, all that
but I thought it was interesting though that Jared, and talking with Jared just now, he said he was a good chef.
Yeah.
I was surprised to hear that.
He said he was a good
Because at
chef.
the end of the day, there's a lot that we don't see.
Exactly.
So to hear someone that, they're with each other more, he really has more experience than we see. All we see is what's on the show.
But
And
his
Ariel
attitude,
said
though.
that though too. Ariel was like, "Well, he's different in person, or he was different in person." Remember?
Yes.
Jared actually talked about his cooking, which
Yeah.
for us, we've always been like,
it's suspect.
he's not really,
Certainly in the in the challenges for that, I always feel like he's always kind of been let down the rest of
Right.
the team. But I guess maybe just in the actual service,
Yeah.
Sure.
maybe it does really
Well, it's kind of like Jackie. Jackie was okay in service. Like, I mean, someone else taught her to make their food and to make it in the structured way. So I feel like you can take that. I mean, and that's why there are people who are, really good line cooks, and you need to have them. And then there's really people who are chefs who are the creators and the,
Sure.
you know what I mean? So
Right,
there's
right.
everybody has their place. And so Jackie probably is a great line cook, and maybe Frank too.
Right.
It was
Well,
good to get that insight.
I think it was also interesting too to hear Jared say about how, and we saw this and it play out, but how he took everything so seriously and like to heart.
Yeah.
Heart.
Personally, he was it started with the racetrack, and they're sitting there, and remember he gets his drink order, and he's like, no, I don't care about that, and I'm like, wait, how old are you? 8? Like, what's going on? He was really pouting big pout.
Yeah.
Like that whole time, and then he brings it into service, and that's when he was talking to Chef Christina, and she had to kind of to pull him to the side and like get it together, and he's like, well, they're against me and they voted me in, and it's like, dude, it's a competition. Like, this is how this goes. And again, I feel like I need to pull that Diddy 214 because I'm telling you, because it's like
contradictory to that, to his
how he
background.
is. It's like the only thing he's using the military for is to be chauvinistic. Because even I'm telling you, like, that's all he wants. Oh, I don't want women in the kitchen. I don't want to work with women. Like, that's the only way I feel like he uses that to his Everything else just seems super, super suspect.
I mean, and we'll get to that point, but that's how he even closes the episode.
Exactly. So, speaking of, it gets down to the nitty gritty, and I don't have my notes in where my thing died, so I'm going off the cuff.
All right.
Yeah. So that's how let me get it correct. So anyway, we get down to the end, right? Of course, the blue team struggled more. The red team actually closed out okay. So the blue team ends up losing, and they're the ones that, of course, have to deliberate. So then it goes back to deliberation, and of course, Frank feels like he's under the attack. He's trying to, give his piece or whatever. Manda actually was interesting that she kind of asserted herself, because usually she gets ganged up on.
Right.
She kind of gets pounded, especially by Frank. When he
holding
was
down
there.
a little bit.
And she was actually standing up for herself, and I thought that was good. And when it came down to who was voted up, it wasn't her.
Yeah. I was surprised when you see that episode where Frank was really laying in demand about how to, scream at me in the kitchen. And this time when they're debating on who to put up, you can see really the fight left him, because he was just kind of quiet as he was talking.
Yes. Yeah.
Like he just
I think he had to walk away. His eyes were probably tearing up. He was probably so mad.
I feel like somebody stole his teddy bear.
Personal.
Yeah.
Somebody stole his teddy bear. Like, really did stole his teddy bear. And it's like, dude, get it together. I just don't understand how. And to me, that just shows that the fight is not really in him.
Right. He had lost it.
If the
There's
fight was
a
in
different
him,
kind of fight going on. There's a fight, but it's not the right fight.
yeah, no, the fight to win Hell's Kitchen was not there. Because the thing is, you do it, especially, he's still, like, and Jared said before, and same thing with Ariel, like, he's a good cook, and he should have made it to the top 6. Like, he should have. But I think his attitude getting in the way, the fact that he was taking everything too personally getting in the way, and that affected everything, and then it just, like, he died out. So deliberation happens, of course. Manna gets his call, who goes up, and it's Jared and it's Frank. So Jared is up there, Frank. Immediately, I'm like, there's no way that Jared is going to go home. I just cannot see him going home. Yes, he cut up the New York strip, and, he got clowned a little bit by Chef Ramsay. But I think overall, there was no way that was going to, and he said it himself about, like, how he felt confident because he's like, I'm against Frank, and I'm better than Frank.
Right.
Yeah.
So, before I was a little nervous, but now I'm not nervous. And sure enough, he calls Frank's card, and that's it. So, what do you guys think about Frank being eliminated?
I feel like on the production side, it was very funny because there was a lot of story on Frank this episode.
Well,
and I almost feel like it was telltale. With Jackie, we always got some good, little bits and pieces with her because she always had something crazy coming out of her mouth.
Right.
But, like, this episode, I felt like was really Frank heavy. I don't know why, but, like, just they didn't have to put that extra stuff in when they were prepping for service and all that. They didn't have to, but I feel like sometimes when you're in production, you throw a little extra coif in there so that.
Well, what's interesting too, you mentioned Jackie. Jackie's gone now, so a lot of the focus was. So they need something else to focus, and Frank seemed like to be the the person to focus.
We didn't get a lot of story with everybody, anyone else this episode. Do you guys remember?
No. And plus the way it ends with Frank during that prep, where Chef Aaron just says like, enough already. I mean, I feel like another example of Frank just kind of getting like stepped on a little bit.
Yeah. Well, look at who we have left. I mean, the red team is strong.
They are.
And so I think, watching them, they're so efficient, and I love watching them. I think they're really great.
And but I'm wondering though, Kristen though, she was kind of getting a little overwhelmed. And I don't know if that's just because it's just down to 3 and that's a lot of stuff to do, or she just is the the.
I think it was more that. I think it was more that.
She had to do 2 stations because she started off with appetizer and then had to go to garnish.
Yeah, so I think it was just overwhelming.
Yeah.
But she's a fighter. And we learned a lot about Kristen in this, that she just got a divorce and she's really, trying to bring her life together and
come
do
into
things
her
first.
own.
Yeah. So I have a lot of respect. Kristen was not on my radar a lot in the beginning, I think, because she is her personality isn't over the top and crazy. And, she kind of was putting her head down and doing the work. And as, people have left and now we're getting to know these personalities, I really like her.
And I
really like her. Yes, you did. You called it really early and I did not, and you win. But
I think that's why he liked me. I think that's why he liked me when I came on, too. He was like, okay.
Yeah.
But even during the taste test, Ariel certainly, as Chef says, 5 out of 8, but Kristen was 3 out of 4.
Yeah.
So she could maybe have gotten 6 out of 8 if she'd gone the second round instead of Ariel.
That's true. Oh, and I do want to just give a shout out to. I always mess up the first part. It's like unsub Katya. I'm just gonna say Houston because that's the second part. So Houston in our chat. So this season in particular, this is what they're saying. Seems to have a lot of he or she is saying better cooks because in previous seasons they had to worry a lot about health and like hazardous things in the kitchen. So I think this has like really good chefs this season.
Yeah.
And that was something that they pointed out, and I agree. So
Awesome.
they also said I just feel bad for Jared because I think the showcases a lot of his skills than Amanda's when he falls, and he falls hard.
When he messes up.
Yeah.
Sure, absolutely. So I think that's good.
They're correcting
Since
me.
we're
Okay.
already talking about coming up next, let's get into predictions, and then let's talk about it officially. That way it could be officially predictions. I'm gonna start with you right now.
Wait, the music didn't start yet.
Time for predictions.
It's coming.
She's like, wait, I need the music.
Your AfterBuzz TV.
It's not real unless the music comes. All right. Well,
We can start with Frank.
Okay, cool.
We can start with Frank. Frank Moran.
I thought it was probably gonna be Amanda's turn to go this week, and she did. She stuck around. She actually was able to stand up to Frank and kind of beat him at his own game, so to speak. So, but I think going into next week, we're getting black jackets are on the horizon there, and I think it's gonna be either between Danny and Amanda
Going home?
Going home.
Oh, Danny and Amanda going. Oh,
Yeah, and
interesting.
I think it's gonna be. I think Amanda's gonna stick around an extra week. I think she can pull it out. Yeah, and I think Danny's gonna be the one that goes home next week. She was also worried about her hair too much.
right.
And she didn't do so. She didn't do so well during the taste test. So I'm thinking she's kind of heading down slowly.
That's an interesting thing to think about.
Can I I also just add a point that Jared, I thought when they what does it say?
The song of I Get Cookies.
I will not work unless I get cookies. I know. So that's why you didn't get the song.
That's why she's saying we didn't get the intro.
Sorry.
No cookies.
I'm just kidding. Share this one.
That we didn't. They built it up like there was gonna be some very sexual scene with Jared and Ashley. And we didn't get anything. We didn't get
nothing.
Anything. I was like, come on now, give me something.
Right.
Make it interesting. But anyways, no. In terms of who's going home, see, I think it might be Amanda. I think that's who should go home next. I mean, in my opinion, from what I've seen, Danny seems to be a better chef, a little bit stronger, and I think you want the strongest people to make it towards the end. That's what I guess maybe hope for more than a prediction.
Yeah.
So that's my hope.
Okay.
On the note of Danny, she lied.
She did.
She absolutely lied.
Snapper.
She did.
And
She
I feel some type of way about it. Because I'm like,
You're right.
she had straight amnesia and she didn't have to do that. I don't know if it was on purpose, but she didn't have to do that to make Frank look bad. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Frank was already under the bus on his own.
Right.
So I don't know. I think Danny's gonna go home. Amanda, I feel like, is getting a lot more confidence, and Kristen's always been Ariel and Kristen's always been my number ones, but Ashley really stood out for me.
Yeah.
This
In a good way.
episode in a good way.
Okay.
She stood out for me, and usually she's under my radar. I don't know why, but I was like, okay, Ash, I see you.
Yeah. What do you think about Ariel's at the comment at the beginning? Like, you dads have 3 restaurants, and you're coming on here to get a head chef position?
Ariel goes, they didn't even name one after you.
That was
Ariel was
some
hating.
shade.
That was super shade.
Yes.
That
That was a
definitely
shade
some
tree
shade.
all up in there. Shade tree.
But that didn't sway me either,
Right.
because I mean, you gotta have some jokes every once in a while when
Right.
you're doing
Yeah.
those confessionals, you know.
Yeah, and you never know what they ask you to get it out
They're
of you.
definitely
Sure,
probing.
sure.
They're definitely
Of course,
probing.
of course.
And I thought she was going to stumble when Ramsay went over to her when she was cooking all the meats and saying, "Hey, are you know everybody else is engaging on your team and you're not." And
Right.
she just has that moment. She's like, "I'm just focused on the proteins," and she
Right.
delivered.
Yeah.
she nailed it all. So
And she got a few compliments during
did.
service from Chef Ramsay.
Yeah. She
So kudos to Ashley. Shout out to you. I can't see Amanda going home. I don't know why, because I feel like she's stepping it up a little bit. Just a little bit, you know? So all it takes is for Danny to slip up to me, and
Right.
I don't know if she lied about that. I feel like
Yeah, I forgot about the line. That's not
Yeah.
cool.
that's how I feel about it.
Okay.
I'm a little in the air.
Well, I will say it's interesting, the dynamic between Danny and Amanda, simply because I feel like Danny started off really strong and started to decline, whereas Amanda started off weak and has been in an upswing. So it'll be interesting if that continues. Then it would make sense for Danny to go home. I think Ashley is a wild card just because. Right now, she's on the strength of her team, because the other two, Ariel and Kristen, are so strong. They're probably the 2 strongest of
Hands
everybody.
down.
I think it's going to be
Hands down.
Everybody,
Hands
I think
down.
that
Yeah.
she's carrying them. So it'll depend. It's not going to be, obviously, because it's only 6 of them. It's not going to be like a deliberation where like going deliberate, because it's only if your team loses, let's say, So usually at this point, it comes down to who's going to get the black jackets. And so if everyone doesn't get one because it's down to 6, normally I've seen before where it was 6 people got black jackets, and then the 7th person was deleted or eliminated.
Dang, that's harsh.
Eliminated. Sorry, not deleted. They still were alive. They just were eliminated from the competition. My bad. Just so harsh. they were destructed, destroyed. But that being said, because it goes, like I said, obviously the black jacket is going to go to the top 5. It'll be interesting how it always plays out,
Right.
because usually in times past, I mean, it's been a little variation, but he just kind of picks who he wants. So it just depends on how it's going to play out from now. I think the service is going to be big, but of course reflecting all the way back. So my prediction, if I had to predict someone to go home, it would definitely be Danny, just because of the way things are going on right now. Boom me out.
I like it.
Yeah, and Ashley is a wild card
Yeah.
because yes, she was strong this episode, but we saw her break down the last episode.
Exactly.
So we have to see if she can keep that
It just
momentum going.
Exactly. So it depends.
I like all those predictions.
But right now, our show is done, and we are now officially finished. The cookies are done,
Yes,
and
the
this
cookies
episode
are
is done. And first of all, we want to first give a shout out to Jared for joining us today
Yes.
over from Michigan, holding it down. After midnight, the Hell's Kitchen after dark. He was holding it down, gave some good insight. Appreciate you, brother. And that's it, man.
That
We're
was
going on
funny,
to the
sorry.
next episode. 6 chefs are competing. That's all that's left. It's getting down to the nitty gritty. Hopefully, we have more cookies than chefs next week from Maria. I'm just saying.
These are so bomb.
I'm just saying. We need more cookies than chefs. We need that to happen. We need that to happen.
At Maria Provenzano.
Right, exactly. I've been your host, Lem Gonsalves. You can find me always at the Poet Saint all day, every day. Rhavin, where you at, girl?
Sorry. I can be found at B Stays Busy, Bizzy, and that's Rhavin with the V, y'all.
Yeah.
And an H.
Yeah,
There's an H in there too.
There's a V and an H. There's
It
an
might
R
not
in
be
there.
spelled right at the
There's
bottom,
an I
but-
and an N. There's a bunch of letters up in there. Maria, the chef.
Thank you guys for watching and everyone who commented in the chat. You can find me at Maria Provenzano on Twitter, and all my information, including the recipe for these cookies, the crack cookies, will be there and connecting to my website from scratch with Maria.
Absolutely.
And you can follow me on Twitter, Happy Go Jackie. Just keep me motivated, folks. I got to go 7 more days before I can get any more delicious cookies. How am I going to make this?
You can do it. You can do it.
It's going to be tough. We can do it, though. We can do it. All right, y'all. We'll see you next week. Have a good one.
Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV Network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.